Sounds like our music needs a little pep in the step. Good morning, or afternoon, depending upon where you are in the country.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome, 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 welcome.
All right, glad to be here for another Cash Out on Cannabis show. And I'm going to start by letting ladies go first in terms of introduction.
Hey, everybody, I'm Simone Kason. I am the owner and CEO of Cannabis Capital Insurance Firm. And we cover, if I can't cover it, it can't be covered, right? We
All
do
right.
cannabis, craft beverage, hospitality, and professional athletes.
All right. All right. All important industry sectors.
Yes,
All
yes,
important industry
yes,
sectors.
yes.
And my name is Eric Foster. I have dual roles. I am both National Policy Director for Cannabis and Hemp for Minorities for Medical Marijuana. And I'm also Vice President of Strategy and Business Development for Banks and Company. Banks and Company, we're a public affairs firm, African American owned and certified with the National Minority Supplier Diversity Council. We do work in public policy and governmental relations management, strategic communications, stakeholder engagement and outreach, and diversity, equity, and inclusion, which fortunately in most states is still legal and still free. So still able to do. So
Despite what they have up their sleeve, right?
yeah, you got some states banning stuff, but hey, we still can do it in Michigan and most states in the country. So glad for everybody to be here with us today. Our topic is an important topic because both of our companies are two that service as ancillary service providers, are vendors to licensees in the cannabis sector or in the hemp sector. And we're going to talk about building a team because ultimately you may have the idea to start in one of the multitude of license types that's available. But if you don't have a team for the three phases of getting going, you're not going to be successful. So we're going to talk about some of the people, some of the types of services and entities that are needed in both your pre-qualification phase, your facility acquisition, development, and opening phase, and then ongoing, so that if you want to get into this industry, you can actually be successful and actually make some money.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, I'm going to say, I guess I'll start from the bottom, right? When we're talking about building a team, the first thing that you need to understand is that you need to find people that are like-minded, which share the vision, right? So if you want to have a storefront, you probably don't want to partner with somebody who wants to have a mall or a big conglomerate, right? So whatever it is that you do, you want to have someone who shares that same vision with you. Vice versa, if you are looking to be able to have a franchise and be able to do many of them, you probably don't want to have partner with someone who has a smaller idea. Now, understand this. That does not mean not meet with someone that has more details, somebody that may be more detail oriented, or somebody that complements you. Those are two totally different things. So I would suggest, one, as you build your team, find people who are good at things that you're not good at. Mm-hmm. Two, find people that are smarter than you. Yes. That's very important. When you start a business, you want to make sure you're the dumbest person in the room. So find people that are smarter than you. I pride myself on that. And then I do. And then also make sure that you surround yourself with your team are surrounded around people who have to share your same morals, your same vision. So I would say that's the bare minimum starting point.
And that permeates not just through who's going to be your partners, but that permeates through who's going to be your CPA, because you need, in your beginning, in that first phase, from the bottom up, as Simone said, a CPA that, or CPA firm that can help you put realistic projections together for your vision, because that's going to balance your conversations with investors, with possible lenders, and how you're going to run this business. Your attorney, you need an attorney. Do not try to be a studio gangster attorney. And because you've seen Law and Order a lot of times, you think you know the law. No, you don't. You need an attorney who shares your vision and will be realistic with you and understands the complexities of state cannabis law, federal cannabis law, and the local municipalities, depending on the state that you're in. You're also going to need someone that can help you with the application process. So, a company that can help you with that. That's critical as well. Simone, in that first phase, because we've all worked with groups who have gotten through the bottom and now they're here,
Mm-hmm.
who else do you need in that, say, first 4 to 6 months that can work with you, sharing your vision, but is somebody from the outside of you and your family and them?
Okay, well, first, before, let's go back and step back, because one thing I think that you missed was that you got to have somebody. We said attorneys, so your attorneys and your CPAs, but also in that you want to have somebody who specializes in your industry and has a proven track record. Okay, one of the
Yes.
things that I want to make sure that you guys understand, we have a very unique industry still in a lot of places, because what, it's state governed, right? Which dispensaries and distilleries, craft beverage, very similar, but we're still federally illegal. So in addition to that, you can go in and you can pay all of this money, but if your attorney or your CPA don't know the industry and they don't have a proven track record of winning, you have a good chance of not making a license, right? So why
Yeah.
is this important on a CPA level? Because they're going to understand the current market in your state, which
Mm-hmm.
varies from state to state. When you're looking at cash flow projections and future balance sheets and all that other stuff, they need to understand what the market for flower or tinctures are in your particular area, and what's the chances of you winning, how much money you should be able to take out, and what you should be making at that time, right? What the spread
Yeah.
is. So that's important. In addition to that, your attorney should be very knowledgeable on not only the state laws, but what laws and ramifications and requirements are in your particular municipality. So
Mm-hmm.
again, making sure that you have somebody that has a proven track record, right?
Yes.
Now, once you get through all of that, you really kind of need somebody that we call a quarterback, right?
Okay.
And that person is going to be somebody that is like a project manager. So you have all of these different entities, and although you may be really, really smart, right? You're good, you're smart,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to probably be really good at some point of it. Maybe it might be getting great talent. Maybe it's you're a master grower. Maybe you are a physician. Maybe you're a really good cook, but you can't be good at everything, right? So you really need to have someone who's going to be a consultant and be able to guide you into this time. Understand this: the highest commodity is time, right? If you're
Mm-hmm.
wasting time and you've been sitting on this thing for 3 years talking about you getting a license, baby, you don't wasted so much time. So you don't want to do that. You want to go ahead and pay to be able to get yourself into that round. And in addition to that, I would probably say, outside of a business consultant, the next person that you would need is me. Of course you need me.
Yes.
The reason why you need me is because guess what? You cannot sign a lease or get a license. You can't even blow bubble gum without having me, right? You can't get a loan in the most of them. Everything in this industry requires under commercial cannabis requires for you to have insurance. Now, you got to have somebody who has a proven track record. Insurance is one of those things that by us putting in the wrong format of insurance can mean the difference between $4,000 and $40,000. I'm gonna give y'all a prime example. I had a client in Ohio. This just happened. They were with Canasure. They had somebody that actually gave them a insurance package last year with Canasure. I don't care nothing about you. Okay, with Canasure, they put in. I love them though, but I work with Canasure. This is a great thing. They're wonderful people. So they went in and they had a package, whatever. And somebody, the insurance agent, they didn't put it wasn't Canasure. The insurance agent did not put it in correctly. Right? They didn't put the stuff in correctly. By the time it got to me, I went back and it was $17,000 was the premium. 17,000. I want you to understand this. $17,000. I went back in and put it back in the correct way. You know how much their premium was? $968. So last year they paid $17,000. Now, of course, I would have loved to have the commission for that, but what I did do is I ended up getting all of their health insurance and everything else. You have to have somebody that actually knows the actual industry. So in all of those things, make sure you find somebody who's an expert in the industry, because this is a new industry and it's always changing.
Great, all great points, Simone. And actually, when you talked about that in terms of that business consultant, which is kind of the role we fit at Banks and Company, also one other thing to add too, because there's so many types of licenses that you can go after, being able to have somebody that understands that specific license type. So as a mentor, so if you want to be a secure transport, if you want to be a testing lab, in Massachusetts, they have a license for you to be a sample collector. So you're the one who goes and picks up the samples from the licensees, the growers, the processors, and the retail and the distributors, and takes it to the testing facilities. Or you want to be in medical research, you need a mentor, a coach that also knows that lane and can give you perspective on that lane. Takesha, you asked a good question. How
And
are
I was gonna answer that for her.
okay.
A couple ways. I just want to jump in. First thing, Takesha, that I want to say to my brothers and sisters, I'm glad that I'm seeing less of it. But when I first got into the industry in 2017, I would get people that would say, well, you know, do your friends or whatever? Oh, I don't want them to know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? That was a big thing. Oh, I don't want them to know or whatever. And, you know, do you have friends that are growers or whatever? And we were so closed off. The big thing now is that we have to understand that these networking events are very, very important. So building a team, being able to get into situations where you're finding like-minded people, that's a big thing. One, joining organizations like InfoMM where there are other people. And I mean, I'm in an investment group. I'm in a big investment group and we're buying properties, right? We're all different people. We're buying two buildings here in my hometown. These people don't live here, but they find the opportunity. And so we're teaming up together. So being able to reach out and have people that you're able to build with, that have things that you don't. And I'm gonna just tell you, our white counterparts, they do business like this all the time. You know what I mean? We just don't. But they do it all the time, and especially, you know, get into deals or whatever, understand it. But let me say this, you have to understand business, right? And you can't come to the party. In addition to that, finding out, having a social equity, that's a certificate for a discount. It's not a license, right? So understand that you're leveraging your discount. Couple things that you can do. There are still some major companies that want to be able to participate in social equity and social enterprise, be able to utilize your goodwill. So that, what does that do? That makes a win-win solution for everybody, right? Be able to catapult that and say, hey, you know, not only are we able to create a profit, but we're also able to benefit the community. Make sure that you're having those conversations. And then in addition to that, Cannabis Capital actually has the only social equity discount insurance program. So if you come to us for your insurance, then we pull everything together and you can get 30% off of your insurance premium. And then Eric, what do you have?
So I was going to say to Keisha's question first.
Mhm.
Regardless of you being a social equity or a minority business enterprise or a veteran business enterprise or women business enterprise, depending on the state and how they structure their programs, you still need all of these pieces. That's mandatory. You're going to have these folks. And if you are, to Rachel's question, if you're looking to get in and let's say you got 25,000 or 30,000 to start with, you're not going to be able to become a licensee. But what you could do is look for opportunities to become an investor in a company that might be another group. Or maybe if you want to do it, you need to find 10, 15 other people who you can work together. But doing that from an alone vantage point, you're not going to be able to do. You're going to have to find folks that have the additional dollars to be a part of your group, because you can't wait to start paying your vendors that are going to help you in phase one. And we're getting to now, we're about to jump into phase
Phase
two,
two, yeah.
which is a
And
whole lot more.
the reality of it is, understand this: just because you have a social equity discount, that does not change the price of entry. Social equity discount only, I mean, certificate only means that your license is going to be cheaper. It means absolutely nothing. Vendors or anybody else, they don't give you anything else, right? So that only means that you're going to get a discount on your licensing fee. Clear.
Right.
So everybody that's thinking, oh, that means that it's instead of $1 million, it's only going to cost me $3. No, that's not how it goes, right?
Right.
So that's
Right.
all. That's all it means. So just be clear. Don't let these people trick you. That just means that you have a certification. You have a certificate that in most states will allow you to either get a certain type of license that has been, set up for only social equity individuals, or you are able to get a discounted rate on the licensing fee, right? But
Right.
everything else you got to pay, right?
Yes.
Real quick.
And actually, that's a good point that our producer's putting in the background, Rachel.
Mhm.
If you've gotten approved, but you don't have the financial capacity today to bring in the rest of the folks that you need to help you with that, then you're going to need to take a pause while you have your approval and build the rest of those investors, because you're going to need those folks, because now we're going to jump into phase two. So phase two is you got your pre-qualification approval, and Rachel's a good example of that. Now you've got to actually get your facility. You got to get your facility built up to state inspection and local certificate of occupancy approval, and then open. So now that's going to open up a bigger range. So the insurance side of what Simone does becomes even more important in this phase. But then also, you're going to need architects, you're going to need a construction manager, you're going to need equipment vendors, depending on your license type, specific vendors for, like, if you're a processor, you may have a class of equipment for extracting from the flower for your base biomass, to separately your kitchen. If you're a secure transporter, you may have to lease trucks. So you're going to need a dealership that you're working with, or a leasing agent for that. You're going to need someone that can do a pre inspection certification. So someone that's qualified in understanding building law and building codes that can help you make sure that you're meeting those compliance points. You're going to need IT, because you're going to have your, every state requires you to have integration of your technology and tracking of what you do within their state system. You're going to need marketing and strategy development, because you're going to now in that phase be building out how you're going to get customers to come into your doors, or how, if you're in the supply chain of licenses, if you're a distributor, if you're a nursery, if you're a processor, your customers are not the people that go to the retail store, but it is the retail store, or it may be the cultivator if you're a nursery and you're getting the buds. So, how are you going to sell and carve out your niche? So, your team of experts is going to expand. And of course, you're going to need to have and then this is an important one. And we know this from both having clients who either they maybe had the resources from other family businesses, but still needed additional investment, or they are a family group, they've got some capital, but they need to find. You're going to need someone who is an investment consultant, who can help you with looking at all of the different options, from debt financing, if that's available, raising money through capital raise, dealing with hedge fund and possible lenders. That's another lane you're going to need as well. So your team of experts gets bigger, but it's required. because if you don't have those team members, you're not going to be able to get open.
The one thing that I would say, and I agree with everything that Eric said, the only one thing that I would add is have a timeline. You have to understand that these licenses have a time, right? So
Mhm.
your social equity certificate, usually what are they, 2 years?
2 years and your
And your
pre-qualification.
pre-qualification are two years, right?
Yep.
So in this, I've seen it over and over and over again where individuals or entities, they get them right, and then life happens, which we all know life happens, and then before it's 18 months, and you get this letter from the state that reminds you, and then now it's a rush, and then now you just feel like you want to give up, right? Because you
Mhm.
you you put it on the back burner to goal yourself to be able to say, okay, I'm going to have this done in this amount of time. I'm going to have this done in this amount of time. And to be able to, it's the same saying of, I know, like when I was listening to you, Eric, I'm sure a lot of the people were hearing, oh my God, this is so big, right? But you have to look
Mhm.
at it like, how do I eat an elephant, right? Bite by
Yep.
bite. And
Yep.
so it's going to be a different journey for everyone. But if you goal yourself and be able to do it backwards, you will find, and you get a good team, you will find that it is doable. It's doable. I ain't saying it was going to be easy, but it can be done.
And your business consultant, and that's one of the things we do at our company, is we help clients find those pieces. We have a client that's a retailer in northern lower peninsula of Michigan, and we help them find those different resources because we don't know everything either. As Simone said, be the dumbest one in the room. There was a lot that we knew
Yeah.
to help, but we also knew there's experts you're going to need. I forgot about real estate,
Real estate, yeah.
commercial, real estate agent, and broker that can help you with that. But the thing is that we help the client to vet and find those vendors.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also sat in meetings to do ask probing questions to help them make sure that they were the type of vendor that met the values, going back to the original baseline in the beginning, as Simone said, that matched with the values of our client, that matched with the ideas, and we'd help map out that timeline. I'm glad you said that, Simone, because that is
And it
critical.
is, that's really
Timeline
important.
is life or death.
Yeah, and the Cannabis Capital Holding this month for June, we're celebrating Juneteenth, and we're having on our page get involved. So if you want to, you can go there, and we're doing the businesses and partners so that they can actually match each other because we're doing all about financial freedom and social enterprise. So if you go to cannabiscapitalholdings.com, you can be able to find that information. But yeah, definitely, it is really about doing those partnerships and finding out ways that you can get it done. Yeah, it does take a village.
Mhm.
Starting a business as a whole is all about, it's like it's raising a baby. When people say, this is my baby, it literally is. It literally is your baby. And you want to find competent babysitters, right? You want to
Mhm.
have a competent doctor, right? You want to have a great pediatrician. Even when you're giving labor, you want to have a great OBGYN. So you want to make sure, again, I cannot stress this enough. Be the dumbest person in the room. Be
Mhm.
the dumbest person. Everybody that works, I don't even say they work for me, that works with me, my whole team, everybody, everybody that I'm around is smarter than me. I'm having a shareholders meeting on the 21st of this month. Everybody in that room is smarter than me, literally. And I'm very proud of that.
No, that's right. And when you talk about the whole birthing a baby, so one thing we do have at M for MM that's helpful is we have M Procure.
Hmm.
So that's a place where you can find some of those different vendors that you're going to need to help you in the phase one and in the phase two, because it's a lot of building a team, but it's step by step.
Hmm.
It is as Simone said. Now I'm not sure who was mad at elephants that decided we're gonna try to eat elephants and we're gonna map out a roadmap of
Right.
how you deal with eating elephants. Personally, I
Mhm.
like elephants, so
Well, that's because
that was
they're
an
so big.
idea.
They're
Don't
so
come for
massive.
me.
It's because it's so massive. and it would be overwhelming to eat it. So you just have to do it bite by bite by bite. Go
Right.
with it. It's a
Right.
metaphor. It's a
I know,
metaphor.
but elephants is taking that stuff personal. You heard
It's a
in
metaphor.
India
It's a
that
metaphor.
attacked the woman, and then after they killed her, they came back and attacked her village because whatever she did to them, they were still upset. So, elephant
Eric,
learned me
you and these animal
I
videos,
ain't trying to
just
eat.
so everybody knows, at least once a week on the weekend, Eric sends me some crazy animal video. He's convinced that the animals are coming to take it over. So at like 2 o'clock in the morning, I get these texts of animal videos that he's been watching on TikTok or wherever the hell. So these it's a whole episode, 2 o'clock in
It
the
is.
morning.
It is.
Right. Yeah, on the
But
regular.
the dolphins are now attacking boats, so that's the next one. So,
Eric,
just
I
saying.
can't get that time back in my life.
I
Okay.
know, I know. But you need to know it when you go on the boat.
You
Don't
are so
mess with the
crazy.
dolphins.
Do we have any more questions from the board, or you want to take it to the next? So what? All
So,
right, go ahead.
Rod, so our background producer suggested a book that actually could be
Mhm.
really helpful.
Okay.
It is the Startup Owner's Manual, the step-by-step guide for building a great company.
Mhm.
And then another one is the Lean Startup, how today's entrepreneurs use continuous innovation to create radically successful companies. And then the Startup Way, how modern companies use entrepreneurial management to transform culture and long-term growth.
I want
But
to.
if you ain't willing to read
Right.
and continue to study and continue to learn, you are not going to be successful. You have to be willing while you're building your team, and you need to also be listening and learning from them and finding these other resources to help guide you in the process.
Well, one thing that I also want to say is we are fortunate to be living in this amazingly unique time of money and entrepreneurship. So
Mm.
as we talk about, having these team members, and there's certain team members that cannot be replaced, right? You're just going to have that cannot be replaced. But there are also some entities and some tasks and some jobs that can be replaced because we have all of this innovation. As far as like a big project manager, we have base camp and a bunch of other things that we're able to utilize. Businesses at this time, in the back offices or whatever, you're able to get your message out with social media, being able to scale really quickly. Before, many moons ago, departments consisted of 5 to 10 people. Now a department is a half a person. Everything is on Zoom. You don't even got to put pants on to have a meeting. You know what I mean? Somebody tell you they were stuck in traffic from where? The kitchen to the bathroom? You didn't even have to put pants on to be here. You shouldn't be late. There's no reason for you to be late. So
Right.
making sure that we utilize and we stay abreast on everything that Eric was saying, definitely stay abreast, but utilize every single opportunity, right? So utilizing your organization, utilizing your computer to be able to connect with people, utilizing AI, utilizing everything that is out there that is allowing you to be able to scale your business for a fraction of the cost.
Exactly, exactly. And then before we get to that third phase, the other two other things in this phase, one is also consultant that understands governmental regulations and compliance,
Mhm.
because you've got local regulations that you have to meet in every state, regardless of how the state law is structured. There's still local regulations you have to meet and fit. Two, you've got state regulations and laws, and sometimes you may need laws at a local level or state level amended to make the roadmap easier for you. And also, though, so you can be compliant. But then going back to that investor end, because one of our
I
comments,
saw Miss Rachel. I was going to tell you that Miss Rachel told you to double back, double
okay,
back,
so I'm gonna double back to that.
double back to that.
So there's different vehicles as I've been learning. So one is there's people that are brokers that can help you find options of either hard money investors or hedge fund or mutual fund firms that look to invest in this sector, or that have high net worth individuals who may be interested in investing. And then there's also some debt equity, debt financing. In Michigan, we have one bank that does do financing for real estate. So they do cannabis loans for real estate. There are those that are in a few other states as well. It's limited, but you do have a few. So having someone that can walk you through all of the different options, along with helping you develop a presentation deck to meet with potential investors, to ask family or friends, maybe that person that's got $20,000 that they want to be the next Magic Johnson, but
Mm-hmm.
they can't invest in that, but they can get a nice box suite
Mm-hmm.
at the stadium to watch Magic Johnson. Well, they can do that with you.
Right.
So, getting somebody that can help you with that structure is critical to be able to, in this phase, get you to phase three.
Okay, so we're going to answer this one, but before we go into that part, before we answer this question, I'm going to let you take the first part of this question. I just wanted to piggyback on what you're saying as far as the capital. Other big thing about the capital is knowing your audience, right? Knowing
Mhm.
your audience. So a lot of people make the mistake when they're pitching their business and not pitching to who, not targeting who they need to do, not pitching or targeting their audience, right?
Yep.
So if you are targeting a hedge fund, then you need to make sure that you're looking at what do they usually invest in, what is their risk tolerance. And usually in most cases VCs and hedge funds, they're not looking to do anything less than $1 million, because if it's less than $1 million, they feel like you should be able to go get a loan for it. Now if you are pitching to your family and friends, you need to understand what their wallet looks like. So if their wallet is only $20,000, or if their wallet is only $5,000, don't scare them off. Make sure that that ask is going to meet their tolerance. So that's
Yeah.
very, very important. Making sure that the pitch or whatever your deck is catered to whomever you are speaking to. You don't want to turn people off or scare people off when you are giving a presentation about raising money.
You got that right. You ain't never lie about that. Now, I ain't been good at raising money. I loved your analogy about this is birthing a child and raising that child. Praise Jesus, I was good at raising my sons
Yeah, right.
because I sucked as a business owner. So I would have been put in jail for child abuse in terms of running my businesses. That's why I work for somebody. Never gonna be a business owner again.
Well, just like you taught me all of the stuff about public policy, I taught you a lot of stuff about finance.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I'm continuous learning. You can learn from
Well, I do.
everybody and anybody,
Yeah, I do
and
what I
that's a
can.
blessing.
I do what I can. All
Yes,
right.
yes.
So we had a question from the audience about our fractional offices.
Okay, I don't know a lot about that. So, do you want to
That's not
take?
something that's not even my wheelhouse. Yeah.
So, thank you for asking it. We
Yeah.
will get when we come back next month. We'll make sure that that's one of
That'll be something to do. Look, y'all know I only do money, stocks. We that ain't even
the.
something. Yeah.
Because we
So
always want to try to answer as many questions as possible. And we also are going to be honest with you. If we don't know something, we're not going to try to pull it out our butt and
yeah,
make it
that's
up.
not. Yeah, that has nothing to do with
Right.
it.
So
Yeah.
now let's go to the third phase of
Mhm.
your business. So you've gotten through phase one, your pre qualification, your social equity or your MBE certification.
Mhm.
You've gotten now through your step two, you got your facility, it's built out, it's ready to go. You got your initial employees hired, you've got your approval to open. Now you're operating. You still gonna need a team that will be external vendors or suppliers that help you. And
Mhm.
it's not just through the licensed system. You're still going to need that attorney and that CPA, but you're going to need technology services, software. You're going to need analytic data. So In managing your business, you're going to need enterprise software to help you manage your human resources, your inventory, your financials, everything that you structure in to enterprise software that can go across all of your different segments of your business. You're still going to need marketing and
Mhm.
advertising because you're not going to be an expert in that, but you're going to
Mhm.
need someone to sit and discuss or help you with any media buys, with
Mhm.
crafting advertising to meet state requirements and any local requirements of how you advertise. You're going to need someone to still help you with governmental regulations, compliance, as well as addressing any statutory law changes
Mhm.
that may occur because cannabis laws, state by state, are never static.
Mhm.
A law is a contract, it
Mhm.
can always be amended, it can also be terminated.
Mhm.
So, understanding and staying on top of that is critical because once you open, it's not just I'm open, I don't need to
Right.
think anymore, or I don't need to have anybody smarter than me in the room. You
Mhm.
need them actually even more.
Yeah.
You need people that can help you forecast from
Mhm.
a financial vantage point.
Mhm.
Where's the industry going? Because right now, depending on the state that you're in,
Mhm.
the more mature markets are struggling. And it's not just the small business entities, it's the corporate entities who are
Mhm.
struggling, shutting down operations, going into
Yeah.
bankruptcy, you know, getting out of states. Hell, Cronus has decided, screw
Mhm.
America. We going back to
Yeah,
Canada.
a
It's
lot of them. And I wanted to, and so because we're gonna be running out of time soon, I wanted
okay.
to bring this up because it touched on two things. One, Pain and Pause ask us about marketing and advertising. So this kind of is all encompassing. The first thing that we have to understand is, unlike many other industries, our mom and pop stores are competing with the big boys. So,
Mhm.
like, if you had a restaurant, if you were selling plates, selling dinners, right? You probably are gonna, your competitor is gonna be other people that are selling dinners. Pretty much, that's it, y'all. If you are a hot dog stand, you pretty much are competing with other food trucks and hot dog stands. It's not like that in cannabis. There's a district in most cases, which is the green district. So if you only have 150 plant license, you are competing with somebody who has 5,000 plant license. Y'all
Mhm.
all in the same area. So
Right.
with that being said, your marketing and advertising in most cases has to be as robust, maybe not as expensive, but as effective as these corporations are. So that may even be guerrilla, right? It may be grassroots. It may be things that you are doing as far as your, like we always talk about, your community, but you're going to have to be able to advertise to a market at the same capacity. Target marketing and marketing is the key, but yeah, at the same capacity, and be able to speak directly to your clients, because it's not like if I went and opened up a sock store. If I open up a sock store or a shoe store, I'm competing with the other sock and shoe store in there, not with Macy's, right? I'm not competing with Macy's, but in cannabis, you are competing with the big boys. And so for
Mhm.
that, that's going to be hard. The other thing about it is that, of course, we know that there's a lot of rules and regulations when it goes to marketing, for us, for our industry. So making sure again that you're teaming up with companies that have some specialization in that marketing realm, or somebody that can give you some consulting. I will tell you this: they do tend to be expensive. Most of those marketing companies that specialize in this, that I've seen them anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 a month. I don't decide. You got to decide whether or not the juice is worth the squeeze, but
Right.
it is definitely, but in that there are still some really really inexpensive ways or cheap ways that you can go in and navigate on how you can do your direct marketing and be able to target. And definitely, as we say all the time, utilizing your community relationships and the
Yeah.
fact that you are creating win-win solutions is some of the biggest advertisements that's out there.
No, exactly. And that is an important point because you've got the laws are complex where you can advertise. what you can say, what you can show on a board or in a paid ad, in a print paper or in a magazine. It's all technical, and you've got to
Mhm.
have folks. And I do think too that
Mhm.
forecasting of where your state is going to be 5 years from now, both regulatory and financial, is critical, because if you're just living on a month to month plan, once you've opened up, you're not going to be prepared when stuff happens. And here's a critique I have of the corporate sector in the cannabis industry.
Mhm.
Why they're struggling right now, they may have had forecasting for the financial side, but they really did not have any forecasting for the regulatory and governmental side.
Oh, totally,
They were as
totally.
naive as
Yeah.
a kid at the candy store,
Mhm.
thinking that if we set up in strategic states, that there'll be just automatic federal legalization so we
But
can.
that wasn't even just it wasn't even just that. They were even confused, which I thought was retarded, on how long it was going to take to get licensing. They weren't even as they were putting them up, setting them up, they weren't even calculating for the 24-month, the 2 year where they can even be in business. So they were hiring
Mhm.
all of these people and burning through cash. They didn't even get that part. And then they had all of these contingency deals
Yes.
with federal legalization, and then all of this pay to play to be able to get these different bills going. I mean, it was a total shit show. We just knew that this wasn't going to work. So we're
Mhm.
seeing it go downhill, but as any other market, it is what it is, right?
Right, right.
It is.
And one other thing too, inside of the states, not understanding the regulatory dynamics, because in states like California, Michigan, Massachusetts, and others, where the municipalities have to opt in, there was also this magical thinking that, well, municipalities would just all opt in and embrace us and love us. Hell,
Mhm.
cannabis has been legal in California since 1996,
Yeah.
and you still have 70% of the municipalities that are like, nope,
Hmm.
not in our community.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was another miscalculation. So that's why it's important to have realistic, sober
Hmm.
people in the room to
Hmm.
tell you the truth
Yeah.
versus tell you what you want to hear.
And
And that,
understand that market in that place, and understand that every single state, every single municipality, every single corner, every block is different.
got
It is
that right.
different. I can go in. I'm in the marijuana capital of Michigan, Muskegon, Michigan, 10-mile radius. Out of 10 miles, we got something like 18, 20 licenses. But do you know it's every block is a different gig, right? And
Hmm.
so it's different. And listen, baby, here is grand opening, grand closing. They done shut three of them down already. Look, they didn't make it. They didn't make it. Grand opening, grand closing.
Right. And I think that the real theme through all three phases that we're talking about of building
Mhm.
the team must meet your values, but you
Mhm.
also have to too be willing to have a team that's going to tell you truths you don't necessarily want to hear. They're
Mhm.
going to have to be, because you may want to be a cultivator and have the capacity to do 100,000 plants,
Mhm.
but your team is going to tell you, yeah, the market's only going to fit
Yeah.
10,000.
Yeah.
So you may not want to hear that, but that's the truth.
Mhm.
Or I want 25 retail stores in one city.
Yeah.
And your team tells you, yeah, this ain't McDonald's. You can't
Mhm.
roll like
Right.
that.
You can't
Oh,
have it your way.
right. Only McDonald's can get away with that, and
Yeah. Yeah.
Subway. That's
Yeah.
about it. You
Yeah.
ain't McDonald's or you ain't Subway.
There you
Two
go.
or three will help you make money.
Mhm.
That's just being real, guys. You've got to be, so that is a part that you have to be comfortable with. Are you okay with, in building this team through your steps, having people tell you truthfully things? If you're in a state that's trying to say, I remember last year, Oregon was trying to see what they could do at a state level to allow for interstate commerce. You need to have somebody to tell you, yeah, that's going to get you put in jail. Don't listen to that.
That ain't gonna work out the way you plan. That ain't
No,
gonna work out the way you plan.
the state legislature don't know what they're doing.
Right, that's not gonna work out the way you
Our
plan.
job is to keep you away from jail.
But
Don't do it.
yeah, I think we're gonna wrap this up after that. I think the key for that is us making sure that, as we said all together, right? One of the big takeaways for me, right, is when you're looking at building your team, find individuals who compliment you, right? Who compliment you. Because understand this, there is something really neat, really cool, really special about you. You're great at one thing, maybe even two at best, right? You might be good at two. I mean, you could probably do a lot of other stuff, but you're probably good at one or two things. There's one or two things that you really excel in. To be really, really successful and for you to really kill the game, it really, really requires you to be at best and be focused at those things. You want to find other people to be able to be focused on those other things that are out there. Remember this. And if you don't take nothing else, good dope sell itself. If you give a superior product, if you have a superior team, you don't have to advertise, you don't have to do anything. You build a team that be able to grow. Good dope is going to sell itself. So make sure that you're finding people that are going to compliment you and be able to cultivate your dream.
Exactly. And then to Simone's point, if you think about it from a football analogy, Tom Brady was the
You and that damn Tom Brady.
Wolverine I like. As a football player, amazing at passing. Even when he was 45, he still threw for 4,700 yards.
Yep.
But it took him 20 years to get 1,000 yards total in rushing. If you needed Tom Brady to run the ball for you, yeah, you was about SOL. You needed a Jalen Hurts or a Michael Vick or somebody like that, because Tom Brady wasn't going to run for you. But that wasn't going to happen. You might as well just say we lost.
Right.
Got to know your lane.
Learn your lane and give out a superior product. Your team will help you give a superior product. And like I always say, good dope sell itself.
All right.
All right, everybody. We love you. We will see you guys next month on the first Monday. Take care.
Yes, thank you. Take care, guys. Y'all have a blessed weekend.
Yeah.
Blessed week.